have hit the main event of the evening. All right. And this is a question that was presented to us on the post as well from the Pitch Grid Pod, right?
Yes, sir.
He was wondering what is the top 5 all-time AFC West running backs. And I think this is a great question. And I saved it for the very end for this reason. A, because I know it's going to take a little longer. But B, because, I mean, it's a main event type question. So I got really excited. I do have a couple honorable mentions. I don't know if you guys do. But I did a couple honorable mentions just for the sake of having them. I don't know how you guys feel. If you guys have them, you can say them. If not, then I can just say mine real quick.
Yeah, I don't have any honorable mentions.
I don't. I only did the 5.
Okay.
I have 2, but I think they may have made other people's lists, so it's going to make people already question my list before we get to it.
No, it's your list. It's your list. So
all right. Well, my honorable mentions were Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Honorable mention?
Yeah. What the?
Right.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Okay,
here we are.
Okay, hang on. Let me say something real quick. Austin, I do back you up on the Bo Jackson one.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
The only reason I have Bo Jackson as an honorable mention is because he had a very short football career.
Right.
And so now I want to say that I put Clinton Portis as an honorable mention. And the only reason that I couldn't rank Clinton Portis is because he only played 2 seasons with Denver, but dang, was he ever just so dominant in those 2 seasons.
Well,
he had 3,099 yards, 29 touchdowns, averaged 5.5 yards per carry in both of those seasons. So for me, he's an honorable mention. And I put the Nigerian nightmare, Christian Okoye, as an honorable mention. He kind of had a shorter career due to injuries as well. So, but he did lead the league in rushing in 1989 with 1,480 yards and 12 touchdowns. So, I mean, he did have a really good one season.
I actually put Floyd Little as my honorable mention. I think he's not a running back that gets talked about a lot just because he wasn't on the best of Denver Broncos teams, but he's still a Hall of Famer. He was still the workhorse. He doesn't, like I said, he doesn't get talked about much, and I really think he should. He was a great running back for the Broncos. So Floyd Little is my honorable mention.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Who wants to get the ranking started? I got to go with Austin just because if he's already put Marcus Allen as an honorable mention, I got to hear his number 5.
You want me to just say 5 or do the whole list?
No. So just do 5, and then
we'll go around.
If anybody else agrees, then they can be like, I voted, and then give their reason why.
Okay. Well, my number 5 is actually Christian Okoye.
Okay.
He's my number 5. Mostly, I'm a Chiefs fan. Kind of one of the first players I ever, outside of Derek Thomas, really remember. Kind of obviously not watching. That's before my time, but really remember seeing highlights on. But I also have an autographed jersey of my own of his. So he's kind of just a favorite of mine. So that's why trying to take the bias out of it, him and Marcus Allen would have been flipped. But just because he's kind of one of my favorites is why I put him 5.
He's also
does anybody else have Okoye at 5?
No, but I would. But because of that number 5, probably hit stick that Steve Atwater put on him.
Cory, you're number 5.
Yeah, it's Clinton Portis. It was, I get it. It was 2 seasons, but those 2 seasons, as a Broncos fan, honestly, if we didn't trade him for Champ Bailey, I would have been super, super sad based on what we gave up. But the fact that Champ Bailey turned into what Champ Bailey obviously was able to do in his career, 29 touchdowns in 2 seasons, I get it. There's going to be other guys on this list that almost had that in the season, obviously. But again, almost and over 3,000 yards in 2 seasons. So what could have been if we would have kept him? We won't know. But what we do know is those 2 years he was pretty dominant.
Cody.
So my number 5 was Priest Holmes. And I remember when he broke the rushing touchdown record at the time when it was first done. And to me, what he was able to do over, several seasons, and he only had a 10-year career. And I think that's what's amazing about some of these running backs is they've only been around for 10 years, some of them even less, and very few have been further than that. But Priest Holmes, what he did in that short time was pretty impressive. And the only memories I really have of him is him in a Chiefs uniform, unfortunately. But he was also like, as soon as he got the ball, he was off to the races. Like, you weren't stopping him. Goal line work, you weren't going to stop him from getting through the goal line. So I have Priest Holmes as my number 5.
Yeah, he played behind one of the best offensive lines ever, too. It was just a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
I actually said Priest Holmes at 5 as well. I think the first time I actually really kind of figured out who Priest Holmes was, it was Jake Plummer's first year as a Bronco, and it was both of them were undefeated going into that game. And this is the one where Dante Hall, they were going back and forth. Priest Holmes and Clinton Portis were going back and forth with one another. And then at the end of the game, Dante Hall returned the punt, and that was, the end of that matchup right there. But I just remember Priest Holmes was a nightmare for Denver. I hated playing against him. I wish he got to play a little bit longer, but I mean, again, those injuries just kind of were the death of him. But I think he still leads the team, the franchise in rushing yards with just under 6,000 rushing yards in the time that he was there. So Priest Holmes is my number 5.
Well, my number 5 is a Chief, Jamal Charles. I wasn't sure who I was going to put here at first. Then I remembered how dominant Jamal Charles was. So I thought putting him at 5 was a good spot. He had a good career for the Chiefs. And even though he played for a division rival, I enjoyed watching what he could do with the ball. Some notable stats: 7,260 yards, 7,260 of his 7,563 yards came while with the Chiefs. He did play one season for the Broncos and one for the Jags, though we won't count that because not an AFC West team, and 2, he only had 6 carries for 7 yards with them. So, but Jamal Charles comes in. I just remember watching him and just like, oh my gosh, like, here we go again. Here's Jamal Charles, and he's getting the ball, and he's going to go score. So for me, it is Jamal Charles at number 5.
Yeah, no
pushbacks. Okay.
No pushbacks. I like Jamal Charles.
All right, moving right along. Let's go, Matt, with your number 4.
So my number 4 is actually going to be Marcus Allen. Again, when you think of the Raiders running backs, I mean, as of earlier or later on or whatever, you have Josh Jacobs, unfortunately, and then he goes to Green Bay. But when you think of the Raiders, you automatically think of Marcus Allen. I think all of us talked last week, and we were taking guesses on the mystery box. We were saying if I got a Raiders jersey, we would all be okay with Marcus Allen. So that one I think I would have been acceptable with. But I mean, he was a key contributor to one of their Super Bowls at least. He racked up, just over 12,000 yards in his career. So I think he was a really good running back. But I'm going to put him at 4.
Oh, it's a good place. Okay. That's a good place. Cody.
So my number 4 is, Tim, you're number 5. So Jamal Charles for me is number 4. And the reason why is because Jamal Charles came onto the scene like when LT's career was kind of winding down. Obviously, he had stellar seasons in San Diego at the time, and he was a dual threat then. And Jamal Charles, at the time when he came in 2008, he was just basically an evolved version of that. And, arguably one of the more efficient runners and pass catching running backs that the league had seen at the time. And I think what's impressive is in his career, he has 20 career touchdown receptions as a running back, which is actually 1 less than Marcus Allen and 5 more than LaDainian Tomlinson, who, probably on a lot of our lists is really high. So to me, Jamal Charles, what he did for the running back position really changed it to how teams now draft players. And again, in a short stint with how he did it, you just said he only did 1 season respectively with the Jaguars and the Broncos, but all of his career stats, essentially 98% of them came from when he was with the Chiefs. And that just, even as up to today's standards, those are very prominent stats and production that he did even in that time. So number 4 for me all time would be Jamal Charles.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I also had him at number 4 as well, so I won't waste too much time. But one stat that did stand out was the 5.4 average rushing yards per carry, which is still one of the tops in the NFL still. And if you look at today's running game, if you're averaging 5.4, even 4.5 to 5, that's still absolutely just bonkers. So for him to be able to do it in the short period of time, that's Jamal Charles was number 4 on mine, and I like that 5.4 average he had in his career.
Yeah.
Austin, yours.
Yeah, my number 4, Sorry, guys. Hopefully, you'll understand once I do above this. But
Dear God.
number 4, I have Terrell Davis.
Not even going to respond
Okay.
to that.
Mostly because I don't want to give
I'm
away.
unfriending you.
Mostly
Wow.
because it was between. I'm just give away my list. There was 2 non-Chiefs running backs that I have on my list, and I wanted to pick between the 2 non-Chiefs here, and it was clearly Terrell Davis. That was really it.
Okay.
I think
My
we're all
number
pretty
4.
shocked by that.
Like, I don't need, like, I'm supposed to pick my player here at 4, and I don't really know what to say right now because Terrell Davis at 4. But I mean, he did leave Marcus Allen off.
He did.
completely,
I mean, same guy that left him off. Yeah, you're right. So
okay. So my number 4 is Priest Holmes. I was going back and forth with him and Jamal Charles. I couldn't decide. I think Holmes was the better back. Just a little bit. But honestly, I could have put him in the top 3. For now, he is my 4th best AFC West back, unless I can be convinced to put him higher. Austin, I mean, this would be your chance, I guess, to bump him up to 3. But
he's number 3 on my list.
So 6,070 yards rushing and 76 touchdowns with the Chiefs. 3 straight 1,400 plus rushing yards and 600 plus receiving yards from 2001 to 2003. He was just a dominant force, and he won Player of the Year in 2002. So, and I didn't even look at all of his accolades, but there's a lot. So, Priest Holmes for me, and I just remember he's another one of those backs that, like, I loved watching him until it came time that he was playing the Chiefs, and then I'm like, oh, man, here we go. This is not going to be fun. So, I have Priest Holmes at number 4. All right, Cory, why don't you get us started with number 3?
Yeah, this is where I had Marcus Allen. And again, 12,243 career yards, 4.1 average. He did only have 3 1,000-yard seasons, but again, that's not too concerning just based on what he was able to still do. I mean, again, look at today's running backs, over 12,000 rushing yards is still pretty good, and it speaks volume for himself. So I had Marcus Allen at number 3.
Okay. Any pushback on that? Anybody want to argue? No,
it's a respectable place.
Cody.
So number 3 for me is actually Terrell Davis. And honestly, the stats that he has at 3 is super impressive because really just look at his career is only in a 4-year span. And obviously the final 2 productive years were when the Broncos went back-to-back Super Bowls in 97, 98, if you guys can remember. That was a long time ago.
I still remember.
Like it was yesterday.
I still remember him, yeah.
So in 95, he had 1,100 yards, 96, 1,500, 97, 1,700 yards. And then obviously in 98, he had 2,000. And also in his touchdowns, every single year it increased. And unfortunately, his career, we can agree, was cut short with a devastating knee injury, which he was never able to bounce back. So in respect, like he's number 3 for me because had he had a longer career, he probably would have been one of the better, running backs all time, not just on AFC, but all time in general. And so just for that, out of respect, that's why he's number 3 for me. But I mean, the fact that he was able to do what he did in only 4 years, even though his career was technically 6 years, super impressive.
I actually have Terrell Davis as well. But before I answer that, I want to know, Kyle, why do you want to play poker against Matt? Like, let us know. I did as well pick Terrell Davis as my 3, dominating. He had a short career, but he was very dominant. 7,607 rushing yards, 60 touchdowns, 3 straight seasons, 1,500 plus rushing yards, double digits touchdowns. He won NFL MVP in 1998, where he actually rushed for over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns. He also won the Super Bowl MVP in his career. So many team records. So for me, Terrell Davis makes it at 3. So I agree with Cody for once.
Cory, why'd you shake your head when we said 3 for Terrell Davis? You look upset over there.
Because you're the worst.
Matt has subtitles? Interesting.
I have subtitles?
I don't know.
Your facial expression gives subtitles.
Oh, I speak English.
Austin, you said your 3 was
Priest Holmes. Yeah, so we just literally flipped 3 and 4, and you guys took me out behind the barn for this. Like we weren't that far apart on it. And
Well, you set the expectation when you left off Marcus Allen in general, I think is what you set the precedent on that. And now we're like, okay, what's your list again? I'm waiting for you to say, like, I'm waiting for you to tell us some obscure name that we haven't heard of at like number 2. And I wouldn't even be surprised if LT is number 2 for you.
He's probably an honorable mention.
Yeah, LT didn't make the list.
Yeah, again, up until Marcus Allen was a Chiefs running back legend. So like
he was a Raider though. So like
he was.
You know.
He's more known for what he did as a Raider than as a Chief. But
I have 0 Raiders on my list, so I just
stand on business, I guess.
The hate is real with him.
I was about to put Darren McFadden, but
McFadden.
Wow.
Or Napoleon Kaufman.
There we go. Yeah, no, I put Priest.
Hey. No. You just took my number 1 running back. All right, calm down. Matt, who is your number 3, real quick?
So first off, I'm not much of a poker player, and I'm more of a blackjack guy. So have fun with that one. But no, my number 3 is actually Clinton Portis, and I know he had 2 years. I know he had 2 years, and to be honest, like when they traded him for Champ Bailey, honestly, if I didn't know what Champ Bailey was going to come, I probably wouldn't have been as upset as I was. But if you look at Clinton Portis' career, he held 17 franchise records up until 2017. And the guy was drafted in 2002. So that's 15 years of records that were never broken. He was also the youngest player to score 5 touchdowns in a game against the Kansas City Chiefs. He was the youngest player to do that. And I think that's still in the record books today, as he's the youngest player to score 5 touchdowns in a single game. So that's why, with what he was able to do, the rookie of the year, I really wish Denver had kept him, but with what he was able to do, the franchise records, the 5 touchdowns in one game, I put him at 3 there.
And I think we go back to last week and what we were talking about last week, and what Mike Shanahan was able to do with running backs. I think that's why they were so comfortable making that move, is because he knew he could just plug in a random dude. Like he literally plugged in Peyton Hillis and just let the dude feast. So it was just like
Browns legend Peyton Hillis.
Yeah, man. So it was just kind of like one of those. And I agree. It's easy to look back now and say, "Oh, it was for Champ Bailey, cool." But at the time, I mean, I remember it. I remember where I was at. I was like, "What is going on?" Like this dude just came off a damn good season. So, respect, Matt, love it.
And to your point, Cory, they ended up drafting Tatum Bell with the pick along with Trent, and Tatum Bell honestly didn't have a bad year.
No,
so
yeah, no. When they traded him, I was just like, oh, glad to see him out of the division. But, man, it was a lot of fun to watch him play. So
just got a Hall of Fame cornerback in return. No big deal.
All right, we're down to the top 2. The top 2, guys. You don't want to go anywhere. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel. All of the channels that are live and the AFC West War Room on YouTube, guys. Let's go. You know what, Cody? I don't think you started. So why don't you start with the number 2 ranking?
All right. Well, kind of alluded to it in the last one. Let's go with the Raiders and Chiefs legend Marcus Allen at number 2 for me. Over 12,000 career rushing yards, 123 total touchdowns, Super Bowl MVP, 6-time Pro Bowler. What more is there to say? I mean, literally a legend for 2 respected franchises in the Raiders and the Chiefs, which is why I'm kind of shocked that Austin doesn't want him on his list. But, if it's a no Raiders thing, I get it. No fault. I was able to look past my bias and put 2 Chiefs on. But if you want to just stand on business and say no Raiders, I get it. But for me, number 2 is Marcus Allen.
He got tired of you calling him a closet Raiders fan, so he just wanted to make sure that
he responded accordingly.
I had to say way too many nice things about your type.
Who else put Marcus Allen at number 2?
Nope.
Nobody? Okay. I did as well. So, Cody, looks like we're agreeing a lot tonight. That's crazy.
Who would have thought a Chargers and a Raiders fan?
The bottom.
I know. Well, a Chief and a Charger got along last week, so it had to happen this week with the Raiders, I guess.
You're not the same person without your mustache, Tim. I need you to put it back on.
No. I like it. I got a fresh haircut. I look better than I did last week. So,
and we all know Tim's number 1 is Hampton, so we can skip him on that.
Yeah.
Hasn't even rushed the ball yet. Number 1.
Yeah, I picked Ashton Genty. No, but my number 2 is Marcus Allen as well. Like Cody said, NFL MVP in 1985. He rushed for 1,759 yards and 11 touchdowns that season. 67 catches, 555 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So great career for Marcus Allen. And, there's not a lot else that I can say that my man Cody here didn't say already. So let's go with Matt.
So at number 2 for me is LaDainian Tomlinson. I think when you think of the Chargers, LaDainian Tomlinson is the only one that really that comes to mind there. 12,490 yards.
You had him at number 2?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we all heard too.
I just wanted to make sure. I was like, damn, I didn't get my number 2 in. Let me go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No. LaDainian Tomlinson is my number 2. I just I hated playing against him. And look, when you guys are making those faces, I can't focus. All right. Yeah, I need you to get your poker faces on.
Matt, if it makes you feel better, it's also my number 2.
What the? Thank you. Yeah. Fuck you, and fuck you.
Oh, beep.
Anyway.
I couldn't hit my censor button fast enough. I apologize.
I thought we could. Isn't this America? But no, it's just
good show,
right? But when you think of the Chargers, particularly their offense, LaDainian Tomlinson's really the only one that comes to mind. Shut up. And I hated playing against him when he was in San Diego. I hated playing against him. And if you want to look at his off the field leadership as well, one of the fun fact about him is he would take 21 children from 21 orphanages around San Diego, and then he would bring them to the Chargers. Is that me?
No. Was that Shaq or Kobe talking?
Shaq didn't like the F-bombs.
I mean, look, guys, I'm in the Navy. I'm allowed to cuss. It's in the Geneva Convention. Anyway, he would take. I agree. Anyway, he would take 21 children from 21 different orphanages around San Diego, and he would bring them to Chargers games. So that speaks volumes about how he was not just on the field, but off the field as well. So
no,
go ahead. Let me have it.
No,
go ahead. No. Austin, go ahead and why you put LT at number 2 because.
I really only put him there because I feel like everyone was going to have him on the list. But, truth be told, he's not even that good.
Stop.
I'm kidding. No, he's arguably one of the better running backs that's ever touched the football field. I just refuse to have a non-chief number 1. So, yeah, that gives away someone that's going to be number 1 for me. But, yeah, I hated LT.
He's going to put Marcus Allen, the chief, at number 1. He didn't play for the Raiders. He played for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Marcus Allen. Truth be told, though, LT is just one of the better. I think we touched on it earlier. He kind of brought the new style of running backs before it was a thing, right? So, hated playing against him. Dude really could do it all. It's unfortunate he had to play for the Chargers and really accomplish no postseason anything in his career. But honestly, one of the greatest all-time running backs, period. Just for my list, I'm obviously not going to have a not chief number 1. But LT gets all the respect in the world. Is just one of the better running backs to ever play. Just for my list, had to be number 2.
Austin or Cory, you're number 2. Sorry, I'm just so can't believe he just
you're so biased.
Him and Matt both
Well, it does kill me that I don't have LT at number 2, obviously, but it does kill me. Terrell Davis at number 2 for me. He will still always be one of my favorite Bronco players outside of Demaryius Thomas. But all I'm going to say with it is 2,008 yards, 21 touchdowns. That stood for a long time. So, and again, I would kill for the Broncos to even have half of what he was able to do. Where Matt and I are sitting here begging for just 100-yard rushing game. So
for real,
he obviously had running back after running back after running back, but none of them will ever be Terrell Davis and what he was able to accomplish. So again, for that's why he was unfortunately my number 2. But again, number 1's pretty obvious.
Oh my goodness! All right, guys, this is the AFC West War Room. I represent the Chargers. My man Cory and Matt represent the Broncos. My man Cody represents the Raiders. And there's a weird little guy that represents the Chiefs.
Hi.
Taylor Swift's.
Make sure you're liking and subscribing, guys. And let us know what you think about the rankings so far. Do you agree with any of us? Or are we all crazy? I know one is for sure.
A show.
All right. So we got the number 1 ranking. And it's obviously a 3-2 split here. So we're going to go non-LT guys first.
All right.
So, Austin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this. the Kansas City Chiefs Marcus Allen. No, I'm kidding. My number one for me was Jamal Charles, most electric running back that's ever touched a football field. He did it on really bad Chiefs teams, really bad offensive line. His time with the Chiefs, he actually averaged 5.5 yards per carry, which would have been the most all time. And he did that on a poor team. He was on bad teams, and he was still doing this. Even against the Raiders, when he put up like 300 receiving yards and like 20 rush yards, like he was just unguardable, even when you knew he was the only one you had to guard. So for me, the most electric running back that's ever touched a football field, had the most yards per carry during his time with the Chiefs in NFL history. And he's number one on my list because he's a Chief.
Oh, man. Okay. Matt, the floor is yours.
I think you guys kind of already know where I'm going to go with this, and it's going to be my guy, Broncos legend, Terrell Davis. I mean, just what he was able to do. And Terrell Davis in his prime was unstoppable. You know, his career was definitely cut short due to injuries, but I mean, when he was in his prime, he was unstoppable. And you know me, I like to give out my little Snapple facts, my fun facts. But in Super Bowl 32, he actually had a migraine halfway through the Super Bowl, and he was telling Mike Shanahan, like, I can't see. So Mike was like, can you run straight? Yeah, I can run straight. He's like, good, run straight. And, you know, how many other running backs have won Super Bowl MVP with a migraine when you can't see? So, you know, for those reasons and what he was able to do, you know, like Cory said, there will never be another Terrell Davis in Denver. I know Philip Lindsay, he brought back that mile-high salute, but again, without number 30, you know, there is no mile-high salute. So
yeah.
You know, I feel like I heard you actually say that before. Maybe you said it on another show that I was listening to. Maybe you said it on one of your posts. But
it was
I
definitely
really
on a
feel
post.
like I was like, man, I really feel like this is deja vu. I definitely feel like I heard Matt say, just run forward. So,
Straight.
you know, just run straight, run forward. It's all the same. So thank you, Matt, for respectfully putting your homer at number one.
Whoa. Come on now.
And Austin for putting yours at number one.
It's not like Terrell Davis was a slouch. Like, come on.
He's not a slouch, but
I was on record that said he probably could have been one of the top running backs in history had his career not been cut short. I'm on record of saying that.
Yeah,
his
no,
career
I'm not
in
taking
4
anything
years
away.
is top tier.
And let's be honest, I don't think a running back has been named. Now, the rankings, you can say what you want, but I don't think there's been a running back named who could go down as a slouch. Like, we've all named some all-time greats here.
Yeah.
Like, nobody did put on like a McFadden or like a Darren Sproles, like really good running backs, right? But just like not legend. The rankings you can argue with, obviously. I'm looking at my list. But I think everyone who's been named has definitely been deserving of it.
Yeah. Why they have a concussion protocol. Yeah.
All right, Cody. I mean, we already know you're number one. Just kind of want to hear your quick. My take is long, just so you know. But I mean,
well, I'll save some time then. It's LT. I even named him as one of my more nostalgic players on our last episode in the AFC West. So LT is number one. I mean, he used to tear up my Raiders for several seasons, and you know, I just remember him always in the end zone and really nothing else after that. I can't remember a game where we ever stopped him or came close. LT was also unstoppable. He was in another stratosphere at the time. And this is before the age of Jamal Charles, where LT was doing it like one of the first running backs to ever do it. And I think he was the first running back in NFL history to have 100 receptions and 1,000 yards rushing, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he was one of the first running backs to ever do that in NFL history. And he did that early in his career too. So that's all I'll say. Just LT's number one. I mean, he was an offensive powerhouse at the running back position.
I mean, I say mine's long, but I went into detail about some of his stats. That's all. Cory.
Yeah. So, I mean, go back to last week's episode. I talked about LT and obviously having dreams of LT playing with Mike Shanahan and his system. So again, that's partially where I'm at again. I'm still on that of, I wish we would have seen LT with Mike Shanahan. I mean, obviously, we could look at the 8 seasons of 1,000 rush yards, what he was able to do, the 28 touchdowns, obviously. So, again, I mean, real recognize real, honestly. I mean, I love Terrell Davis, and I love that. It was, again, number one was pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, apparently it wasn't, because the guy sitting to your right and Matt here, I mean, they're like in a different stratosphere or something, because both of them didn't put LT at number one. LT, like, if you guys don't know, like, if you guys haven't heard the story, these fellas have, but if you haven't heard the story, LaDainian Tomlinson is the whole reason I'm a Chargers fan to begin with. You know, I didn't have a favorite team growing up. I lived in the heart of Chief Kingdom, you know, just like 2 hours south of Kansas City. And everybody's like, oh, you got to have a favorite team. Well, I didn't want to be like everybody else and root for the Chiefs because, you know, everybody in my hometown did. So I was watching LT in college, and he rushed for 406 yards at TCU. And I was like, hey, whoever drafts him, that's who I'm taking. And it just happened to be the Chargers. So, I mean, I could have easily been a Raider fan or a Bronco fan or a Chief fan if he would have went there. Just so you guys know. But, yeah, my number one is LT. And this should come as no surprise, Austin and Matt. One of the best running backs of all time. I wish he would have stayed a Charger for his whole career, obviously. He had 8 straight seasons over 1,000 yards rushing, with 7 straight seasons with 1,200 plus rushing yards. Tomlinson led the league in rushing in back-to-back years in 2006 and 2007. Also led the league in rushing touchdowns at the same time with a record-breaking 28 touchdowns in 2006. That season was special for LT, as he had 31 total touchdowns, 33 if you want to count his passing touchdowns. He did have 2 passing touchdowns that season. So, you know, if you want to count that, he would have 33. Speaking of passing touchdowns, Tomlinson completed 8 of 12 passes for 143 yards and 7 touchdowns in his career with the San Diego Chargers. I'm not going to say Los Angeles because they were the San Diego Chargers, and they will forever be the San Diego Chargers in my book. But, you know, Tomlinson only had 1 season with them where he didn't rush for over 1,000 yards. He has 13,684 career rushing yards. 12,490 of that was with the Chargers, of course, before he went to the Jets. 145 career rushing touchdowns, 138 with the Chargers. Tomlinson was a lot of fun to watch. If you didn't get to watch him in Prime LT, then you missed out. You definitely missed out on a good running back. So Prime LT was like nothing else. And, you know, he finished with 5 Pro Bowls, three-time first-team All-Pro, NFL MVP in 2006. So a lot of accolades that I could literally continue on with, but I'm not going to. You guys get the picture. LaDainian Tomlinson is the greatest running back of all time in the AFC West.
Nah.
Let him know, Jack. So, Tim, I got a question for you. So it doesn't sound like you're happy with the Chargers moving from San Diego to LA, right?
No, not at all.
So, and I will speak for me as a Raiders fan. I wanted the Raiders to go back to LA again for the second time. But again, like, that's LA is like obviously full of Raider fans. And so moving the Raiders to Las Vegas is just very tough in the California market and audience. So I'm curious, would you have rather the Chargers move to Las Vegas, or would you have still wanted them to move to LA since they were leaving San Diego?
Oh, is there a third option? Because, you know, I don't know if Las Vegas would be much better. I mean, the only thing that would be better at Las Vegas is they would have their own stadium versus, you know, in LA having to share a stadium with the Rams. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I wish they would just move to St. Louis. I mean, it would be just like
the St. Louis Chargers.
Yeah, you know, just like a 3-hour drive for me. So it'd be like a local team, and I'd actually get to see a home game. So I think it would be a lot of fun.
A year ago, I predicted in 5 years that the Chargers would be here in St. Louis. So we still have time.
Hey,
you know?
I mean, Dean Spanos, come on, make it happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. But if they did, I would be ecstatic. So
no, the Chargers. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so fun fact, you know, like I mentioned that I didn't want to be a Chief fan because everybody else was around me. I decided that I did need to root for a local team, but obviously already being a Chargers fan, I couldn't be a Chief fan. So I was like, hey, I'm going to start rooting for the Rams. And then they moved from St. Louis to LA. And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
I do have kind of a random question. I didn't give you guys a heads up because I really wanted you guys to raw dog this question.
We're going to raw dog it.
No, so we all know the Seahawks left the AFC West early 2000s, and that was right before Sean Alexander's prime. Would Sean Alexander had made any of your guys' top 5 if his career would have been done in the AFC West?
Yeah. It depends on what team he would have been with.
Still the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks were the AFC West.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like I would have given him an honorable mention, but I don't know if he's up there with the group of guys we all named.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say like honorable mention, like Larry Johnson is an honorable mention, but again, he had a couple of seasons where he was just as unstoppable as Priest Holmes. Obviously, not as much of a touchdown machine. What up, podcast Smitty? But I would say like Sean Alexander was a serviceable running back. Like he was consistent. Like I would argue that he was probably Nick Chubb before Nick Chubb, but I don't know if that means that he's in the top 5 of all time running backs. Because I mean, even if we expanded it to number 6, he wouldn't have made number 6. I'd still have a guy above him. So, I don't know. I think he's a solid running back, but I don't know about all time in the AFC West.
Because I believe, wasn't it him and LT and Priest Holmes, they were kind of taking turns each year of like breaking each other's touchdown records.
Yeah, because it went like, I think it went Priest Holmes, it went Alexander, and then Holmes again. And then LT then broke that record.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like a nice prime era of running backs. But yeah, I was curious. I had Sean Alexander thought of first, and I had to go look at the timeline, and it was like his first year with like 300 yards. He was in the AFC West. And then when he blew up was the years that he left the AFC West. So I'm like, he's not going to count. But I was just kind of curious on that.
I think I probably would have him somewhere. I don't know. Like I'd have to flip a coin, I guess, to compare like him and Priest Holmes or him and Jamal Charles. But yeah, I mean, he would have definitely fit in right there in the 4 or 5 spot for me if he would have been in the AFC West. All right.
One of my honorable mentions. I guess I didn't answer my own question on that, but yeah.
Matt's trying to catch up with his subtitles.
I am, I guess. I don't know.